2023 wasn't a good year for the Carolina Panthers, but I'm trying to make 2024 a better one for myself. Get started on your resolutions with Factor so you're ready for the new year. Factor's ready-to-eat meal delivery takes the stress out of meal planning and sets you up for success in the new year. Skip the grocery stores, prep work, and cooking fatigue. Instead, get chef-crafted, dietitian-approved meals delivered right to your door. With over 35 meals to choose from per week, including keto options, calorie smart, vegan plus veggie, and more, plus over 55 weekly add-ons, you'll have a ton of nutritious and flavorful options to kickstart your resolutions. Skip that overpriced takeout trap. Factor is cheaper and way more delicious than takeout. Get chef-crafted, restaurant-quality meals delivered right to your door, and they're ready to heat and eat in just 2 minutes, which means more time for you. Head to factormeals.com/C350 and use the promo code C350 to get 50% off. That's code C350 at factormeals.com/C350 to get 50% off.
Looking for a fun way to win up to 25 times your money this basketball season? Test your skills on Prize Picks, the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Just select 2 or more players, pick more or less on their projected stats, and place your entry. You could turn $10 into $250. Right now, Prize Picks will match your first deposit up to $100. Just visit prizepicks.com/fan and use code FAN. That's code FAN at prizepicks.com/fan.
Must be present in certain states. Visit prizepicks.com for restrictions and details.
In a world where Carolina Panthers fans have an insatiable thirst for Panthers news and opinions, only one podcast roars ferociously. It's the C3 Panthers Podcast.
What's the deal, Panther fans? It's your boy, the Professor, a.k.a. Tony Dunn. We don't really have very much to talk about tonight as the C3 Panthers podcast rolls on and football barely operates. So hopefully the audio is working. If we can get a thumbs up from the folks. I got an update on my computer, so everything is acting stupid at the moment. So thank you for your patience, and thank you for joining the show. And thank you, Cody Lashney, for coming on and talking football, video games, all types of different things. And hello,
Cody, you're muted.
Oh, and he's muted.
That was my This time is my fault. I'm the dumbass.
My goodness.
But no, man, if I ever unmute myself, I'll tell you guys I'd rather be nowhere on a Tuesday night than right here with the boys. And as always, we have the most lit Panther family in the YouTube chat. Sarah Taylor, Trill One, Underground West, Susan Dean's already dropping the love bomb, a $50 donation. My God. Thank you, Miss Susan Dean's. Tony Dunn. We have the most lit Panther fans. Ain't nothing to it but to do it, brother. Let's roll.
Man, talk about sticking together community here on Tuesday night. The people are here. They have spoken. Susan Dean, the mama in the house, showing her support. And tonight we'll be talking about COVID preparation. And tonight's show is titled NFL's COVID preparation is less than Teddy B's D. So we less than, all things are less than Teddy B's. Anyway, we got CK in the house who's been streaming, playing video games. I've been actually playing a little Call of Duty late at night. Not to your level, but I haven't climbed in the chopper by myself yet, but I almost got there. I was finished number 2 the other night. Joe and I did.
Oh man. Yeah, I'm up to 40 wins so far.
Holy moly.
Yeah, we got 40 wins, but man, it's been a blast. But I was laughing right at the introduction because Tony, that was like the most like I'm just here because I have to be type of introduction. Like, hey, welcome Panther fans to the C3 Panthers podcast. Where we
I'm usually pumped. I'm usually pumped, man, but it's been so stressful for the last 30 minutes because nothing has worked like it's supposed to. And yeah, I'm just like, ugh.
So, what's really cool, guys, is I'm trying to with the stream. So one of the guys that I stream with, he's Capitan Shred. He actually grew up 2 doors down from Tyler Larson. and he's going to try to get him to stream with us, Tyler Larson. So hopefully that's going to happen. And Jonathan Stewart just dropped his gamer tag for Call of Duty in his Twitter, and so I'm going to try to slip into his DMs, have him playing some Call of Duty with me. Who knows? Maybe it'll happen. But man, I'm trying to get this thing. It's moving, man. It's just a grind.
All right. So tonight we'll be talking about if there's football or not. We'll go to the cat calls early, and that's really about it. Is right now today there was a conference call where the NFLPA met with the NFL leaders, and they discussed coming back because their rookies are supposed to report next week. And there's been a lot of players voicing their concerns over the past week or 2 weeks. So we highlighted some of that discussion in the Cam Newton video by Todd Gurley. But, the players are concerned about the lack of plan that seemingly that the NFL is seemingly like kind of dropped the ball a little bit. The guys that have had the most time to prepare, who have the simplest schedule to navigate in comparison to basketball, football, some things. Now, the size of the teams is the real problem when it comes to the NFL, is that, the trainers, all of this, is that these are large groups of people, and then you put 2 of those teams together. But, a lot of players have said that the NFL didn't have a plan. So today the news comes out, and we've got some updates for that. And I don't think there's any other news other than that. So let's just go ahead and start with that, guys, is if we go to – I'm going to switch over. Ooh, I got to make sure not to surprise you guys with that in the first pick I show. The updates today,
whoa.
Yeah, I know, is that you got to be careful when you share your screen. That's the virtual thing, work from home thing is like my biggest fear is I'm going to share the wrong tab one day in a meeting, and it's going to be like Twitter, and then have you ever, don't leave Twitter open at work. That's what I would say, is sometimes I would just keep it open in a window and, flip back every now and then, see what's, trending or something like that.
Yep.
And, every now and then some jerk will put up porn.
Oh, yeah.
And I know, I'm not trying to tell you how to live your life, but some of us, I followed you because you like the Carolina Panthers, not because you like to watch 2 midgets hang out together, whatever it is.
And by the way, man, don't also retweet that shit. If you're into it, dope, bro. Keep on watching that. You do you. But, come on, man. People are, sitting next to their kids scrolling through Twitter. And
right.
You're posting some whore taking back shots. Come on, dude.
Don't be David Newton. Don't be David Newton,
and don't be Ted Cruz either. I remember when Ted Cruz got in trouble for liking porn on Twitter,
it was one of his aides, bro. That's what the story is, right? I don't know. Is that if so? If it truly was one of his aides, I would, and I was a politician and that my underling did that, I would trot him out on every news station to admit it and apologize, say this is not, so he didn't do that. So I guess maybe you're right. The other thing is, did you see Marco Rubio put up the wrong picture of John Lewis?
No.
Oh gosh, that was a big deal. As the other, because the civil rights leader and Representative Lewis died this past week, and Marco Rubio put up we're gonna miss you, and he put up a different black guy from Congress in the homage tweet, pay respect today, we lost an important person, and he put somebody else's picture up. And so somebody tweeted Marco Rubio and said, "Nice knowing you, Marco Rubio," and put the guy up that plays the Hulk.
Lou Ferrigno or no,
the
Mark,
new
yeah, I got you, I'm following you.
So John Lewis passed away, civil rights leader and activist and politician, and gosh, poor Marco. Here are the updates, though. The call came out today. This is reported by Tom Pelissero. Says no preseason games in 2020. The Union still pushing for a longer ramp-up period in camp. Roster size is expected to be 80 to start camp. General agreement on voluntary and high-risk opt-out. So I wonder if that's like for some coaches and things, maybe, people over 65, people with some sort of, other condition, and general agreement on stipend if games are lost. So right now there's no preseason. This seems to hurt the young guys, the back end draft picks, the guys who, as I was thinking of, remember we drafted that one tight end a few years ago, and everybody was like, we drafted him in the 7th. He's going to be something, and we don't know his name today. That type of player, he's going to have trouble getting a paycheck. And, these guys do actually make a decent amount of money just by going to camp, the undrafted free agent. So cutting the roster size down by 10 to start right away and no preseason games, the big boys are going to get paid. But other than that, what do you guys think about these updates?
Well, tell me I'm wrong here. Doesn't that seem counterintuitive to have less people on the roster? Like, what happens if you start get guys that catch COVID and now you have even less people? You have less reserves.
I think their thought is that it's going to reduce the risk of anybody getting it. So, but I is, for lack of a better way of saying it, I think that not having a football season is not going to happen, right? And I think all of these players doing, coming out and acting, saying the things that they're saying, they have that right to. But I honestly believe most of them probably don't care. I think that most of them are like, I just want to play football. Like, that's my main thing. I need to be able to get out there, earn a paycheck, show that I'm somebody. I think most football players are like, I want to play.
But they've all said that. They've all said we want to play. But then they also go, well, we want to be safe. We want to protect our families, and not bring COVID back to granny. Sometimes I've started, and do you think they're authentic in their concern for that? That people are really worried about getting sick, or
I think it'd be unfair to say they're not, just based on, Jonathan Stewart just added me as a friend.
Yes.
Sorry, guys.
We're going live to Cody playing Call of Duty with Jonathan Stewart.
Oh my gosh, dude, that's funny. Anyway, sorry, I had it up just to see if he would add me. He did. But nonetheless, I think it's unfair to say that they don't care, because that's like generalizing an entire, that everybody that is that was protesting was, not to bring this whole thing up again, but just to put that same category of everybody protesting is a bad protester, every cop is a bad cop, all that stuff. I think there are people who have an honest concern, but I think that there are ones out there that are just kind of going with the flow of things because it's easier on their social media presence if they did.
Right. I think, we tend to always just project on other people what our feelings are. So at the moment, I'm like sitting here going, I'm so tired of this mess, this and that. And I'm projecting that in a way on these multi-million, and they're looking at themselves as an investment. And I would certainly think that different players in different circumstances would be kind of rooting for different things. So if you've already signed your big payday and things like that, you get to be more cautious. If you're a young kid trying to make a name and make a squad and just, eke out some bucks for the next 2 or 3 years to get you ahead in life, I'm sure you're wanting to play, and the lack of preseason game, the roster size is going to be difficult there. The thing that's interested me too is that they're starting to talk a lot about, are they going to get enough practice time? The guys that are in contract years are probably worried about, potential for injury because you're not in football shape. There's this you've had all these limitations, and we've seen that in the past, is that a lot of people have said that these non-contact, when a guy blows out his ACL and he's just running, these non-contact injuries, the old hats have always kind of said, well, we used to do 2-a-days and this, and we break each other's jaws in practice and stuff. So your body was just seemingly more resilient in some ways. Yeah. And you got to wonder too, are we going to see an increase in like knee injuries and some different things like that this season going forward? And we've talked about those before when we've had like lockouts and stuff, but we've just been on lockdown as a society. And boy, the NFL has really blown this. Why is it? This should be going smooth right now. They've had so much time.
I don't know why.
You almost wonder if it's leverage of some sort. I'm not going to sit here and say that there are you're not actually having people that are happy. I mean, because you know how they flipped out over the new CBA, and so now I wonder if this is just going to be an ability for them to kind of pull that back up and say, all right, we need to make some new adjustments because the world that we live in now is different than the world that we were in when we agreed to this. So.
By the way, real quick, I read in our comment section, shout out to Susan Deans, the den mother herself. She may be having knee replacement surgery. Hate to hear that. Love you, Susan. Hope everything goes well and you have a fast recovery. But, I just wanted to throw that out there. But I also do think that when it comes to all of this COVID stuff, that I agree with you, Tony. I think the NFL kind of has dropped the ball. The fact that you had players tweeting out on Twitter, we want to play, and yet at the same time voicing their concerns that, we don't know how safe we feel with this. Russell Wilson put out his wife is pregnant, and, he doesn't want to put them at risk. I don't know, man. I know that there were a few big-name basketball players that decided to not play. I'll be interested to see if we're going to see any big-name football players that decide they don't want to take the risk. But then that's a whole other thing. You receive backlash from players and, you're giving up on your team, your teammates, and this and that. I don't know, man. It's weird times. But
we talked about we talked so much though. You remember when in the NBA was we've dumped on the MLB for not being better prepared and getting this done faster, right? And they've quibbled over some games, and it's like they almost and we've talked a lot about too in the past is like how the Players Association and the MLB has, got more power to kind of throttle the owners and some different things like that. But there was a concern at one point that they were going to negotiate themselves out of a season, right? Is that time was going to creep up and be the problem right there. And so what the NFL has had the luxury of time in comparison to these other leagues is that the league the season wasn't going on at the point. And to me, what it almost indicates is that the NFL kind of bought into that idea that this will be over by July, right? Is that we'll be on the back end of this. We just got to play it safe and then play it cautious, and then we'll do our video draft. We'll do those different things. And then, but by the time the games come around, okay, maybe we'll have to reduce capacity. They weren't thinking much on the logistics side of at this point. Like they should be and the players probably don't need that much, to be honest. If you say this is we're going to limit these activities and groups to this time and this, we're going to make sure that all the locker rooms we put that chemical in that kills whatever, that we make sure that all the balls are sanitized between whatever, all of this. And if they just came out, all the jerseys were replaced, that would have created a sense, I think, with the players. But I don't think they have that part. And that's the part that the players are like, oh, what the hell? We're supposed to be walking in here and this just be working. And right now, it doesn't seem like anybody has a real plan of how to do anything.
Do you think it's going to be weird watching football with no fans?
I don't know. What do you think?
I mean, I don't know. I've watched a bunch of UFC, and they've been able to run without any fans. But I don't know. I think that a crowd is such a part of the atmosphere of a football game. It's definitely going to be weird not having fans, I think. But I don't know. There's a part of me that's kind of excited about it too, because imagine being able to hear everything happening. you hear every tackle, you hear every audible. I mean, you hear everything. Like, it might actually be a cool experience. Like a lot of UFC fans are digging it, the fact that you can kind of hear everything. There's like weird moments where the fighters can hear the commentators and like, yeah, listen to DC, man. Like, oh shit. So it'll be weird, but I don't know. I kind of think, especially early on, I think there's gonna kind of be a novelty to it. Like, you're watching these sports being played in a way that they have never been played before, like only in front of cameras and shit, and you have no one in the building. Like, yeah, that's going to be a very weird thing. And I think it'll be fun at first, but I don't know. That's just me. I think it might be kind of interesting.
Is that my computer?
No, that was my phone. Sorry.
Oh, okay. The lawnmower. Hey, Greg. What's up, Greg?
Hey, you doing some manscaping over there, bro?
Man, oh goodness, sorry, y'all.
Did you over podcast?
Oh, huh?
I was gonna say, did you over podcast?
Yeah, I usually do that. Yeah, no, I spent the day at the river and came home and passed out and set my alarm for like 8:30, and it just didn't go off for me.
You could have kept sleeping. There's nothing to talk about.
And I was like, oh no.
Well, welcome, Greg, to the C3 Panthers podcast. Tonight's show is NFL's COVID preparation is less than Teddy B's D. And less than it is. We're about to jump into the catcalls right now. We've been just talking about some of the things about, the COVID, the lack of preparation by the NFL and some of the updates that have come out from today's call. So let's go with that. Since there was a call, the players had a call. Let's go to the calls with the catcalls and see what you guys got to say.
So what are your thoughts on catcalling?
Yeah, it's pretty you shouldn't do that to somebody.
And how did that make you feel?
Very uncomfortable.
So how do you think catcalling makes the person feel?
It feels good, like...
Who's that cat sitting in the back corner with his face buried in his nose? Who's that kid that can use one?
All right, let's try this again. Hey guys, Nick up here in Mass. Just got a couple of questions that I've been thinking about all week. So,
what's up, Nick?
First one, next season, what positions do you guys think that we're really going to have to fill? What contracts are up this year? Who do you think is not going to perform this year? I mean, granted, it's a guess at this point if we're even going to have the season. But basically, what holes do you guys already think that we're going to have at the start of next season or at the start of the preseason? And also, how much room do you guys think that we have? Also, with this whole COVID-19 thing, I have heard rumors of certain players of teams outside the NFL, like their contracts getting cut or reneged because they get COVID, and then there's some sort of health issue that lingers after the fact. I think it's something along the lines of scarring on the heart. I don't know if you guys have heard anything like that, or
I don't pay attention to COVID talk anymore.
Happened, but just curious as to what you guys think.
Thanks
again, guys, have a good one.
Appreciate the call, man, and a lot to unpack there. I want to go to the back end of that question, to the COVID stuff that I hate to talk about, that we've been talking about. Wasn't there a free agent that had just signed with the team recently, or was supposed to sign with the team, and it was a big name? Like, you would have been excited about that person being signed with the team, and they tested positive for COVID. It was a baseball player, maybe, or gosh, what was it? But the idea is that, what happens if these young guys, the guys that are on the bubble, come in and they test positive for COVID, and you're just like, you know what? We're just going to cut you now.
That kind of seems like dims the brakes on. That's why Cam Newton kind of he wasn't able to go around and test out with places and get signed. I don't know. I have no answers for this.
COVID. It was Yasiel Puig. Yasiel Puig was supposed to sign with the Atlanta Braves, right? And so he's an exciting kind of long ball hitter. He used to play with the Dodgers, and he was supposed to go sign. And they have a very short window of games, so. But he can't, it's 2 weeks. He's got to go into this thing, but he's not getting a deal. I was like, I would have been like, well, I mean, as long as you don't die, we'll take the deal when you get better.
I mean, I have no idea how any of this works. And now they're going to have less roster spots. So it kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier. You know, what happens if you only have, a certain number of wide receivers on the team, and then 2 of them catch COVID and they're asymptomatic, and now you're down that many spots? Like, are we just going to be bringing in Joe Blowers from off the street like we normally do to fill that? I don't know.
Yeah, what happens in the like you're saying, in the middle of the season when the roster is even smaller?
Yeah.
And if, what if there's an outbreak on a team? Imagine that. What if 3 or 4, you don't really, when you cut down a roster to 53 and then they only put hats on 51 or whatever it is, 48, that's why Cap never got a hat. He was always on the team, just never active. But when you have those, those tighter groups, I mean, think about the tight end group. Like, what if 2 of our tight ends got sick in the same month?
We have no more tight ends.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. We're done. Yeah, I have no answer for any of it, man. And the thing that sucks is that no one really does. Everybody's just trying to comb through what they feel is, best practices, best information. It's annoying, man. I'm so over it. I wish I could just blink my eyes and make this shit go away, but it's not. But I do think we're going to have football. Like, I feel like there's so many people that are being too pessimistic. That, there's no way this season's going to happen. And then they cite numbers of how many more people are getting COVID or whatever. And not mentioning how many people are completely asymptomatic. How many people aren't dying now because of it. I don't know. It just seems now that the numbers are going up, so everyone's afraid, Everyone wants to stop the spread and all this shit. And like you mentioned earlier, I mean, what other sport are you around as many people as you are playing football? I mean, even when you're, think about being on the offensive line. You have guys lined up directly in front of you, guys lined up to your left and to your right.
What about the huddle? Just the huddle, the whole 11 dudes sitting around in a circle.
Yeah. I mean,
Holding
that's why I was listening to Pat McAfee, and they were talking about if guys have flus or whatever, they won't even let you in the building because you're so near to other people and players when you're in team meetings and all these other, out on the practice field, that it's just inevitable. They're so close to one another. They're going to catch it if something's going around. So let alone something like this. Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. It's like the boogeyman out there. It's just scary. The weird thing about the COVID stuff that's for me that's odd. And again, like, I feel like you can be stoned on the internet if you say anything wrong, right? So I'm not trying to. I don't even really have an opinion.
Well,
but
it's political now.
Stop talking.
Right, exactly.
I'm not commenting on it.
Yeah.
I just want to know I don't feel like that so it's kind of strange when the information, we have all this information, right? The internet, the news, like we're just being pummeled with information all the time. And when the information doesn't seemingly match your personal experience. That's what's weird to me, is that I hear all this. I'm not saying it's lies. I'm not saying like this and that. I just don't see it in my own life like that.
Yeah.
So it's just a bizarre moment in time. But let's get to the other part of the question that was even cooler. And that is, where are the holes after this season? And I think that this is a interesting question to tackle. We're going to try and tackle it the best we can. I'm just looking at the over the cap on the Panthers. And I think it's really easy to start with this, is that it depends on how successful this season is, right? Because if this season is the dreaded, what's your greatest fear, Cody?
My greatest fear
of what this season will be for the Carolina Panthers, the win total.
Oh, yeah. If we go 6-10, 8-8,
right,
7-9, that bullshit, I'm not here for it, man. I just assume let's not play football.
So if we do that, then the Teddy Bridgewater, continuation story, it will be there likely, and you won't be in the running for your boy. What's his name? The Trevor Lawrence. But if the Panthers really stink this season, then all of a sudden we can talk about Trevor Lawrence and Teddy Bridgewater's role in the future of this team. So if you keep moving down the list, so we've talked about that in the past, but here's another one is left tackle, Russell Okung on a 1-year deal. And Russell Okung is a guy that might just say, I don't feel comfortable playing this year. So my question is when are the Panthers ever going to fix the damn left tackle position? And can it be Greg Little after a couple of years of development, maybe?
I think that was the original plan, right? Was to have Greg Little step in after he developed a little bit. This is such a difficult question because we don't know anywhere where
it's so far out. Like,
we have
like,
no idea where it's going to be. Even if we do have a situation, like you said, with Russell Okung at left tackle, we may do something in the middle of the season that changes that. So we have no idea what's going to happen. We may draft, a new left tackle. It could be the same way with a trade. Like, we have no idea what the future holds. So it's really hard, even looking at the state of the team right now, to decide a year from now.
Well, the offensive
going to happen.
Yeah, we do know that the offensive line is going to be. So think about how much we address defense this year in the draft. Is that you can see a similar assault on the offensive line going, maybe not 7 or 8 picks or something. But if you think about it, Matt Paradis is going to be in his 3rd year with the Panthers by that point. You're going to be needing a center. You're running out of options on some of those guys there. So the offense, and we haven't really loaded up in the draft on the offensive line. We've kind of piecemealed it. So you could expect some things there. And then I think you got to start looking at the next. Well, what do you guys think about that? Or do you think we kind of all lockstep there? Any thoughts about those players, Russell Okung, Matt Paradis, how long? Matt Paradis, you can cut him this year. You can't cut him this year. You have a lot of dead money, which, by the way, we always have a lot of dead money, so who cares? But that offensive line has always just been, since we've had Jordan Gross and a healthy Ryan Khalil, it's just always been a problem. Even when we had them, at times it was problematic.
Yeah.
Our offensive line has been a hope and a prayer. We hope and pray that the next man up is good enough to do the job, and frequently they've been okay. Matt Paradis was okay for a while. Dennis Daly stepped in and did his thing. He was a rookie. I don't know. I mean, that's where a lot of my hesitancy about this season comes from. It's the offensive line, and if Cam Newton couldn't hold up behind this offensive line, then I don't necessarily know that Teddy Bridgewater is going to be able to do it. Now, I think Russell Okung might be able to play himself into a contract. If he plays well this year, and he has good chemistry with the offensive line, and he does his job well, then they might want to bring him back and see what else he's capable of doing. We do have Greg Little that was drafted in the 2nd round of not the most recent draft, but the year before. We have some young guys after
and Moten. Moten has been respectable so far, and he probably still hasn't even played his best football if he can be healthy. Some of the big guys, it also depends on their development, depends on their health too, right? That Moten has been pretty available. Actually, he's been available the whole time, I think, since he's come in. If he can get 1 or 2 more healthy years in, all of a sudden you might see him being like a dominant right tackle. A lot of it comes down to health. But, that left side's going to have to be addressed. And while Little we're hopeful of it, is that you still don't have enough horses in the stables. Ultimately, you're going to have to keep retooling there.
I did want to mention a comment that we had earlier on in our chat. 10 Tizzy said K1 Short needs to have a big year, or else he can see us moving on from him.
Yeah,
and that's a good point, man. He's been hurt, and we haven't seen a lot from him recently.
Mm-hmm.
And
he's not played up to his contract for sure.
Yeah,
but you also might look at last year and say how much of a staple he was for our defense. When he left, our defensive line crumbled from the run stoppage.
I hate to say this, you're not going to be able to. You're probably not going to be able to get rid of K1 Short till 2021 or 2022
without a trade.
Yeah, because he's there's going to be in 2021. There's still going to be $11 million worth of dead money. So we're going to have him for another year. after this year.
My gosh.
What are the chances we traded him mid-season and put in that Brevion Roy guy that we drafted out of Baylor?
Right. And, yeah, I mean, those are possibilities. He's 31 right now, so think about that. And I like KK, so I've always liked him because he was the guy. He's just disruptive. He's kind of a exciting defensive tackle in so many ways, but. We haven't been good, and then he has struggled with injuries. He had a serious injury last year. So, yeah, that's a great point. I was thinking, too, is linebacker. We got to talk linebacker a little bit. That all we have at this point is Shaq Thompson. Tahir Whitehead is 30 or 31. And the other, we've talked about this, Greg and I have, Greg's mentioned this too, is that, we have a lot of linebackers listed, but they're not linebackers. They're like edge linebackers.
Yeah.
So that's going to be an area. And then I think what is the next? So you go from linebackers and you just go back one spot or outside one spot. The corner position. Eli Apple. We got Eli Apple. I forget that sometimes. Eli Apple, we got for pennies, bro. Pennies. $2.5 million we got Eli. He's going to start this year. Probably be our number one corner.
More than Cam Newton?
That is insane to think about.
Don't ever say that again.
Hey, man.
Get off the show.
Yeah. Dude, I don't know, man. And then a lot, there also seems – that's why I'm not trying to be a pessimistic. I'm not trying to just be a Clemson Trevor Lawrence fan. I generally think that we have a lot of positions that, if they've been kind of patchworked. So you mentioned Eli Apple, who we have on a 1-year deal now. Tahir Whitehead, who's supposed to come in and help fill Luke Kuechly's shoes, of all people. That's why I don't it's not far-fetched to me that the Panthers are going to be picking, maybe have a top 5 pick in the next draft. I mean, you're asking – for a lot to go right. I mean, in the midst of all this COVID stuff, you have a brand new head coach, brand new offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, and you have all these important positions that we have guys that we're kind of hoping are able to fill some pretty big shoes. And, that's kind of concerning because those shoes are not easy to fill.
Yeah, because, in some ways we have a good deal of our offense for the next couple of years. We see what it is, Yeah. It's going to be built around Christian McCaffrey, Robbie Anderson, and Teddy Bridgewater, I guess.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's that's our trio right there. Robbie Anderson better beat ass, bro. I need a lot from Robbie Anderson to be happy with that signing.
I need to get more touchdowns than Curtis Samuel when I win that bet.
Oh, and DJ Moore. And DJ Moore is kind of the – do you think him and Robbie Anderson can become a 1-2 dominant punch?
I don't know about dominant. They can be a good team together. I don't know if you'll look at them as one of the top pairs in the league just based on – because I don't think that Teddy Bridgewater is going to be able to be a good enough quarterback to put them as the top receiver.
You don't believe in Teddy?
I don't believe Teddy is going to be a good enough quarterback. I don't think Teddy will be a top 7 in his position, which I feel like if you don't have a top 7 quarterback in the NFL, you're not going to have a top tier.
Well, here's something to change your mind.
Last year.
Yeah, well, also, think about this. DJ Moore had 1,000 yards last year with Kyle Allen throwing him the football.
But Kyle Allen was only throwing the football to him, basically.
Yeah.
Christian McCaffrey had over 1,000 receiving yards.
That's true. Yeah.
Don't bet
that we had 2 players with 1,000 plus yards receiving. Yeah. That's actually insane if you think about it.
I think we've really underestimated Teddy Bridgewater. Right now, I got the pickup.
Oh man!
Right now, the Teddy Bridgewater D pick is from a Louisville team photo. And
is that real?
I don't know if this is real.
It is real.
Dude, I love.
Don't bet against Teddy. B's, D.
Bro, we're going to keep it 100. If that's really what my guy is packing, homie has 9 inches flaccid, bro. Like, that is a water hose.
Dr. Manhattan over here.
Even looking at the picture, I'm like, dude, what in the fuck am I looking at, bro?
Have you ever seen
That's
Tremors?
Like one of those joke pictures you sent a friend, it seems like.
Yeah. It looks like that thing that comes out of the trimmer in Tremors. I watched Tremors with my kids, and so it's like that extra arm thing that comes out. This is, don't underestimate Teddy Bridgewater. I mean, you go into battle with somebody like that. Don't bet against here. And let me see if I can get this up here. Maybe I can just do a. Well, maybe you guys can hear this.
If you watch this show, the best pick we've ever made in our entire lives, the Teddy Bridgewater Schlong pick, was a no-doubt winner from the kickoff to the final whistle.
Big winner.
The Saints won outright as a +4 dog on Teddy Bridgewater's huge schlong. Dave, are we going back to the schlong?
I'm going to ride this dick till it fails me. So, yes, I'm just going to be all over that dick.
Yep, going to ride it.
And this is the Saints till they get proven wrong. Teddy Bridgewater, big dick.
I'm going to ride Teddy's dick to the Old Town Road. That's a remix that we're going to make once.
This is Barstool Sports Advisors from last year.
Re-record that.
Yes. All right, so we're both on the Saints +2.5. I have a feeling that Stu's going to make us call his phone number for this pick, but let's just hear it anyway.
There's nothing you can't see. You can envision the future. It's unbelievable. You're like a prophet. All right, Mortal Lock God, Stu Finder on the show, 11-6 since we started the show, by the way. This game is a Mortal Lock. Okay, it's a human like a burial blower. I'm going to put a package together for you. Side in total Sunday night. A best bet at 1 o'clock, a best bet at 4 o'clock for $150.
Anyway, more Teddy Bridge. They go on to say, don't bet against Teddy's. You know what? So that leads us to this, is that I saw another tweet, guys, that this guy put up, and he said this was actually on CBS Sports, and it is the camp battles, or these battles that they're, like Henry Ruggs or whatever versus this person. And on CBS Sports, it says Panthers, and it just says the entire team.
Roster.
Yeah, the entire roster, dude. So that makes a difficult, what you were saying, Cody, is that we don't know. And then you look at this squad, you can easily see them being, you can see them being a 6 and whatever team, but you could also see them being awful. The kind of thing is we got a lot of pieces that we would be excited about sometimes, like bringing in Eli Apple on a nothing deal, Robbie Anderson finally giving us a spark in the offense, but there's no real linchpins to build around. It's like those are the best names we got.
Christian McCaffrey.
Right. And we just don't have a ton. And I guess we've just been so comfortable when you've had a couple of guys like Cam and Luke. We're going to need a guy on the defense that is our Luke Kuechly, essentially, that gives us faith. Is it going to be Brian Burns if he pulls down 16 sacks this year? Maybe that's the guy that we feel like we're going to build the cornerstone of our defense around. But there's so many young and unproven players, and there's no real staples on this team anymore. I think that's the problem. It's like we don't even really know this team very well. We really want to, this might be the year watching a preseason game would actually be worth watching.
Yeah. Who are the leaders on our team now? Who are the OG vets? Trey Boston, and then
it's got to be Christian McCaffrey, Trey Boston, KK
Shaq Thompson, maybe.
Yeah, Shaq.
Thompson's been there a while, He knows the word. You see, this is the only thing I'm worried about, and you're right. We don't have any big name marquee players this year, but we've had those players in the past, and we still haven't done well. It hasn't changed a whole lot. I don't know if name is going to be what saves us in this situation, because we had Luke Kuechly before, and our defense was horrible. We had some other big names on the defense too. When we had Cam for a few years, we were horrible. Every year we had with him wasn't amazing. So I don't know if not having big names really makes that big of a difference. And I think that maybe what the team, the ownership, and then the coaching staff looked at is, look, we've had these huge names before, and we finished 6-10. We finished 5-11. You know,
but think of it like this, Greg. It's like if you ever had an old watering hole when you were young, like in college age, and you went there, like your Cheers almost, where you knew somebody. You always went there. You knew somebody. You know, you always knew somebody pretty well. And so you never felt like kind of an outlander in that place. But then you fast forward to when you're 35, you've had kids, you've been this, and then all of a sudden you and your home, you go, you take you got a night out, you've had a couple or something, you go to the old watering hole, and you don't know nobody. You don't know anybody behind the bar. Yeah, you don't know anybody. And that's the kind of feeling that we have with this team. It's like, I don't even really know how to comment. It's like, in some ways, there's some real offensive pieces there. And in other ways, I've never seen these guys play together. Ever.
Right.
That's actually a damn good analogy, Tony. It's like you're going to the bar, it's different music.
Yeah.
They don't have hip-hop. They don't have hip-hop night no more. The wings taste like shit. They're not even good anymore. It really is, man. It's like it's so weird, man. Going into this season, it just doesn't feel like any other, man. We've mentioned it before, but I feel like it always bears repeating. The amount of veteran leadership that we lost over the course of one offense. Not even just veteran leadership, but guys that we're all going to pretty much consider to be all-time great Panther players. Cam Newton, Luke Kuechly, Greg Olsen. You know, I mean, even a guy who was here for a short period of time, like Eric Reed, who's been a part of your defense for the past few years, like those guys aren't easily replaceable, you know? So that's what I'm saying. We're going to have to depend on a lot of younger guys to step up into some leadership positions, but also guys that it hasn't been their job to do so in the past, like Shaq Thompson, like K'Wan Short. You know, these guys are going to have to step up and step into a new role because we just don't have those. I mean, so much of the Panthers was that coveted locker room that we have, right? Everyone said that we had great culture. We had so many good things going on. But now it's like all of that is done and gone, and we're having to reinvent ourselves. And it's a whole new look, and it's a weird feeling.
Yeah.
You know, it'd be kind of – we have never had a lot of turnover. You know, that's one of the things for Panther fans that we're not actually very comfortable with. And, you know, if you listen to Darren Gant always criticizes Charlotte for being okay with having the Hornets or okay with like we're okay with a 9 and whatever, 18 and 9 and what would it be? 9 and 7. 9 and 7. Thank you.
At the dance, basically.
Right. Is that, yeah. And that's why, you know, when we always try to compare ourselves to the Steelers where, you know, we don't go through coaches. So we don't, you know, and then when we have gone through coaches, it's been some very small movements. You know, we went from John Fox to Ron Rivera, and they're very similar kind of guys, especially the way they approach the game and some different things. But we've always had, you know, I mean, we had this feeling maybe in 2011 when we had a new coaching staff and a lot of new players, but we still had Steve Smith and the running backs. We knew those names. This one is such a, and maybe we should be happy about this, Cody. You have been talking about rip the Band-Aid off, right? Is that the Panthers really didn't hold back. They didn't just bring in a young coach and then keep a lot of the old parts around. They really broke it down to the chassis and stripped away all the new parts and went by. So they haven't half-hearted the rebuild.
No.
They're just maybe not doing it with the idea of tanking having to be part of it.
We definitely pumped up our defense. I mean, I think the players that we put on our defense are young, fast, and violent, and that's a good thing. And they just need time. You need to build that up into something. It's the offense I'm worried about. It's that offensive line, man. We pounded the table about building a wall, building a wall for Cam Newton. It would still behoove the Panthers to build a wall no matter who the quarterback is. But I don't know. Am I being too hard on it? Like I feel.
Yeah, I think so. I think you're not having any faith that a man like Teddy B can't take care of himself back there.
It's not.
What if he just comes around the corner and they just wallop and he wallops in the head with that thing?
Like a mallet.
I don't think it's having no faith. I think he's looking at what we've had in the past. I think when Cam Newton went out, what was it, the year before last? We went through 3 quarterbacks in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a matter of not being able to protect just Teddy Bridgewater. It's any quarterback back there, and I think the offensive line. We're sitting talking about it. It's probably going to be the hardest part to replace or the weakest position on our team, and I think that's the position that you have to have the gelling the most. Maybe the offensive line or maybe the quarterback wide receiver kind of chemistry you need there. Other than that, every other position on the team is just kind of, fill that slot. But I feel like the offensive line is a team you can't just throw together every year and plug and play people every year. And that's what we've been trying to do rather than build a team and develop these players. Maybe this new regime, that's what they're going to do, is draft young and build a team. And it could be a few years before an offensive line is a legitimate offensive line. But just being good enough is what we always do with offensive line, like just good enough to put a jersey on and go out there and play. It's cost us a lot in the last.
I know it's like
Cam Newton's career.
We've had the same conversation every year. It feels like for a long time.
Yeah.
The number's 252-228-5098. 22 people watching now. 13 thumbs up. 1 thumb down. They must be intimidated by Teddy B. Right. Go ahead, smash the thumbs up button, get into the show, and let's see where you guys want to take the conversation. Let's go to the next call.
Hey, I just wanted to call in and tell y'all I just finished watching that Kevin Donnelly Zoom call with the 03 squad on YouTube.
Oh, wow.
Like 40 minutes long, and then just talking about, the team and all the camaraderie and just the special moments from that year, all the memories. And it got me remembering from, I think I was maybe 22 years old in that 03 season, just hanging out with my friends, watching those games, and fast forward to the whole Cam era and, hanging out with y'all every Tuesday. I just really, really appreciate being a sports fan, and it was nice to look back on what it was like to be a sports fan back then and just appreciate the happy times. And I just want to let y'all know that happy times are ahead of us, and they're real close. I know everybody's a bit down right now, but I just want to promise y'all, just trust in humanity. I feel like the majority of this world is made up of good people that just want to get through this together. And I'm happy that the rookies are reporting, this, I guess today, looks like we've now got all of our rookies signed. And if any Panthers, players are out there listening right now, thank you so much for going to work and giving us something to kind of root for, because sports is just, it's important. It's important to mental health. It is important to our lives. As trivial as it is, it truly is important. And I appreciate the C3 family. I appreciate all of Carolina Panther Nation. And I appreciate my fellow brothers and sisters out there in the world. Let's just all stick together and keep pounding, and I promise y'all it's going to be okay. I love y'all.
Well, we love you. Thank you for that call. And you know what? Every now and then we need that was a hug right there. That was an audio hug. We're feeling down. My man said, keep your chin up. We're going to get through this. And I tell you, we're in a moment right now, I think. And he brings it up as how sports is important to us. Think about as we think it's important to us, and we just do this podcast for fun, and entertainment and leisure. There's a lot of people whose jobs are built around this. Imagine what sports reporters are going through at this point, and all these different things. And we're so deep in it. And then the other kind of weird thing about it is that it's so embedded into our society. In some ways, recreational sports that we consume is somewhat of a modern phenomenon. If you think about it, is in the last century, ultimately, maybe a little bit more, century and a half, professional sports have become a thing, and it's like such an important thing to us that right now we're without a lot of it, and we're just dying for it. I think we get basketball this week or something, or baseball this week maybe.
Wasn't there a baseball game tonight?
Yeah, I think baseball is this week. Hockey is coming up in about a week or two. They're real close to
hockey is, I think, August 1st or something like that. Rangers, Hurricanes.
Play a game today. I think today was one.
I think it starts Thursday. Maybe they did have like a. I know the Cubs. The Cubs are going to play like on Friday. I wonder if they had an exhibition game or something today. I don't know. But
do you think they're going to pump noise into the stadiums? Pump crowd noise in the stadiums with no crowd?
Oh, they said this is that so now MLS is back, right? MLS has been playing, and a friend of mine watches it. I don't watch it, and he was saying that they have they pump in audio, but they don't do it to the players, right? It's just on the TV itself.
So you'll hear a crowd roaring.
They don't hear the crowd roaring. Only the fans hear it. Like that, people who are watching TV hear it. And he said they do a good job with it because it gets like louder and softer in a way that seems natural. But I heard that MLB is going to be they're going to be pumping in the sounds from MLB or 2K, the video game. They're taking the audio from the EA Sports video game, and that's going to be the audio that accompanies the baseball broadcast. That sounds kind of wild to me.
It sounds so dumb.
Yeah, doesn't it?
Listen, I feel for baseball, it's probably different than it is football. But it's like, dude, if you need to hear crowd noise, like that's why I brought it up earlier. I wanted to see everyone's opinions because it's like, dude, you're not a fan of football. If you're watching the game and you don't like it as much, it's because you don't hear the crowd cheering or you don't hear people like. Dude, I mean, I know it's different, but at a certain point, it's like, who really gives a shit? Who isn't watching sports at a time where there isn't anything? We're so starved for sports. Are you really going to not watch just because there aren't people there and you don't hear cheering? Like, it's dumb to me, I think.
Think about what the ratings for the NFL are going to be.
Higher than they've probably ever been.
It's already the most watched television show in America. I mean, so
right, but we're dying for it. Like we are missing it so much. It just feels like it's going to be something that gets us one step closer back to life. And so that Thursday night football, the first Monday night football game they have is like the whole world will watch it.
Yeah.
It's like a Super Bowl, basically.
Yeah,
we so starved for it, and I think that them putting the noise in there for on the TV for fans is gonna give you almost a sense of normalcy. You may not be able to see the crowd, but you can't always see the crowd whenever the game's being played anyway from the television. If you can at least hear the crowd, then at least it feels normal.
I know players don't act like they're gonna be shook by it. Players all like to say, we practice in the court. We don't. We're going to play the best. When you man up beside somebody. So it's kind of like the fighting. Like we wondered if UFC was going to be affected because the fans. But those fighters, they're like adrenaline's pumping so high, they're fighting.
Yeah,
they don't give a crap. But if you think about it, in some sports, like do players get a second wind from a crowd? A crowd like when they feel like when there's moments that they are about to give up hope in the game and the crowd is getting them back in it. Or think about a basketball player who gets hot shooting threes and the crowd's going nuts and he's like feeding off of it. So there is going to be an element that changes it. It's almost going to be like a certain personality type is going to be better in this environment. A player who is less up and down, almost like a not Cam Newton. Because Cam Newton was kind of a get hot type player, feed off the energy type player. Yeah. How is he going to create his own energy in a time when there's such a limited amount of, fan interaction?
Yeah. I mean, I agree 100%. I think that it's going to affect the players more than it would the people watching, obviously, because if crowds cheering and whenever you're at the game and they ask you to slam your seats against the walls and make noise on a third down, if that stuff doesn't matter, then I'm just not going to do it when I go to a game anymore. I'm just kidding. I mean, I want to do it, but I mean, it seems pointless for us to even promote to do that if it's not going to affect anything. I mean, I think, of course, pumping up the crowd for a big third down, for a fourth down stop, for a fourth down conversion, for a huge running play, for a nice pass, like it always makes the team and the players feel better to hear that crowd. So, yeah, I don't care what they say. It's going to affect you. UFC is a little different because
like you're in a war. You're like in a mini war of survival. You know what I mean? Your life is on the line. It's like, you don't need people. You know that like during Civil War battles, like at Gettysburg and different places, they would pull up chairs like in the adjacent hills and people would like watch the battle like a TV show. And there's crazy stories about people getting like hit by an errant musket ball or something crazy, and they're watching this unfold. I don't think the people on the battlefield were like, man, I'm gonna get a second win because these people are really cheering me on. That's a little different, but the nerves.
You
think about
feed off the crowd,
right?
Think about when the Chiefs were down to the Texans, and as soon as the Chiefs got on the board, the crowd knew, all right, we got to get behind our boys and get behind our team. We're in the playoffs. Yeah, that energy is undeniable. And, yeah, Cam Newton would feed off that energy too. So
Joey,
that's what I said earlier. It's going to be a novel thing to see how fans and players react without the crowds, because now we get to see what how much did it affect them when there were crowds.
Joey the Blind Panther says the crowd is an integral part of football. The Raiders, Saints, Seahawks, Chiefs, and probably a few other teams I've missed, they can get yards because the other team can't communicate. You hear the 12th man. I was at the NFC Championship when the Panthers won it, and the stadium was physically shaking. Like it was a crazy sensation. You almost thought, like, is this structurally sound at this point? The whole thing was moving. So yeah, you do have that moment, but I mean, the players are going to come up big and they're going to play hard. It's just going to be somewhat weird. I don't think it's like even NASCAR has an advantage on. It's kind of like UFC, is that they don't care if fans are cheering.
Right.
They're in a car.
Sports.
Right.
That's what makes a difference.
Yeah, that's a good point. Home team advantage will be affected in a lot of ways, and we're interested to see how it unfolds, but we want football. We need something. I do anyway. Next call.
My podcast brothers, how y'all doing?
What's up, G?
Once again, hey, y'all stay safe in this corona shit. Y'all and all your family and loved ones. Hey, I'm pretty happy, man. Hey, all the rookies got signed today. You looked at Panthers.com.
Yep.
I thought it was going to take a little bit longer than that, you know what I'm saying? But, hey, here's a question I have for you guys. We know that training camp is right around the damn corner, man. You know what I'm saying? I think it's next week. You know what I'm saying? My thing is this. If a player is tested positive, would they think that would they actually say that shit to the media? And will cameras be there? And the reason why I say cameras, let's just say, God forbid, some player from another team, any position, that's a star player, okay, gets infected with the coronavirus, and then they would show them doing training camp, doing practice drills and everything like that. We're not stupid. We can see that so-and-so is not throwing the ball, so-and-so is not catching the ball, so-and-so is not blocking for the ball. People will realize that. So give me you guys' take on that, because my opinion, I don't think cameras are going to be there, man. I really, really don't think they will, because people are going to put 2 and 2 together, man. Give me your thoughts on that, and always remember, y'all, keep pounding.
Well, that's a good question. I mean, there's not going to be any regular training camps, right? There's not going to be the fans there. Like, we don't get to go see training camp at Spartanburg, right? Am I wrong about that? I mean, like, I don't know. Where are the Panthers going to do it? Are they going to do it in the bubble?
No. Yeah, they're going to do it in the bubble, my understanding. I could be wrong with them.
And there is an injury report. You do have to disclose certain things, and the reporters would probably be given some limited access and some things like that. I think it's going to be limited access, but what if they just say illness? Imagine the first person that misses a game with a tag on the injury report, illness. We're all going to be like, oh, crap, the whole team's got COVID.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the entire facility. See, the problem is the same thing that you're going to run into with currently with schools or daycares or work. If you have any symptoms that even resemble coronavirus, you aren't allowed to go to work for 2 weeks. You have to self-quarantine for that entire 2 weeks. There's a lot of places that are doing that. So do they do that? I mean, you got to think about this. How many people are out with the flu, right? You know, a lot of these guys miss a little bit of time, but not a tremendous amount of time for the cold, right? And you got to remember, the football season is played during cold season,
right?
Like it's when people get the sniffles and are coughing and congested and things like that. So, I mean, I think that this
isn't that going to be wild. Really, wait till Drew Brees gets it or somebody like that.
Oh yeah. By the way, Tony, I've got to say, your voice sounds sexy now that you got your mic set the right way.
Really? Does it? You can tell the difference?
I feel like I can. I feel like I'm riding your vocal cords,
like Teddy.
Hair stand up on the back.
Nice. Well, good.
I feel like I'm riding your vocal cords like a horse, like one of those bulls, like a mechanical bull. I'm just like, oh yeah, here we go.
All right. Well, if it's too loud, tell me to turn it down. I hope it's not too loud. I'm trying not to yell. Is it too loud?
I think.
Sounds
I
good.
mean, I think you might be able to turn down the gain or something like that a little bit, but for the most part, I think it sounds pretty good.
How do you turn down the gain? Can you talk me through that one?
That may be a setting on the mic, like when Cody was having a little bit of issue with his, the gain is a little bit too high. Basically, the sensitivity is a little high, but is that a USB mic?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can change my monitor. That's what I can do. That's it. That
you might have to just go into settings for the recording and change down the microphone input a little bit, but it's not bad. It's just,
am I too low?
You can't tell. No, you could tell that you're clipping a little bit to where like you're getting to that top level to where the sound is not able to pick up any further decibel. So it's just kind of like that clipping noise. You know what I'm talking about?
No, I don't. So I'm learning still. I've had this microphone for a year, and just turning it a little bit has changed the game, I guess. And
it
maybe
sounds
in
really
a bad
good.
way.
I like it. Yeah.
All right, let's go to the next call. Wait until the first high. It's one thing to just have players with it, but what about when a player misses because of coronavirus in the middle in a very important game? That's going to be a wild moment. What a wild time.
Hey guys.
Yeah, and you know. Good. Sorry.
My birthday's tomorrow. But
What's up, Joe?
that's not what this call's about.
Happy birthday tomorrow.
Happy birthday.
I got not really a problem, but I am considering naming my hearing aid an implant after Panthers players. But I don't know which one to name after which player. So
Boy, we're really in the thick of it.
We can help it. We can help.
Which player made us great? Because that would be for my implant, because it literally makes me hear on that side. And then which player aided in greatness? Because that's who's getting
nice wordplay.
My hearing aid named after him.
All right. Joey, happy birthday.
Guys. I'm at the beach right now. And, I haven't called to do this for a while, so I'm going to do it for you guys. Wow.
There it is.
All right. So
it's not a show until I hear Joey growl at me.
That's right.
I don't know. I mean, who made that? I would say maybe Julius Peppers made us great.
No, bro. I say, listen, if you want to talk about who made us great, you already know what it is, boy. That's number one, Ace Boogie. That's Cam Newton. You're naming that one Cam Newton. And who aided in greatness as much as Luke Kuechly, bro? Bro, you got that Kuechly implant, bro.
The Kuechly implant.
That Kuechly implant,
I like
bro.
that. That wins. That wins right
yeah,
there.
Man. Dude. If you need two names, all you need is that Cam and that Luke, bro. I think that's it.
You've solved it.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's the best names for it. I can say though, this brings up that same old debate we were having before about which player is affecting the franchise more, which player is better. I think that if you really look at it, Luke Kuechly has been a better player at his position than Cam Newton has been consistently at his position. I don't think Cam. It's just weird to look at Luke Kuechly and say that's kind of like the assistant to Cam Newton on the team. Cam Newton just plays a position where he has more control over the team and the ball. I think Luke Kuechly is a better player at his position, though.
Oh, Lord.
Luke Kuechly is consistently top 3 in the NFL in his position every year.
It's a legitimate point. Legitimate. All right. So let's keep going with the calls and we'll bust out of this show.
Hey guys, Joey the Blind Panther again. And I was just thinking, there was, if we lose players to COVID, okay, and, that stuff, I mean, of course it would suck to lose a player to COVID because they could be contributing on the field, but it's going to be really interesting. It is going to make for such a cool subplot as to who's going to step up when players go, or if players are not playing due to COVID or injury. I mean, you have injury and COVID, so you have more opportunities for guys to step up. And that is going to be really fun. And I'm just saying there are some players, maybe not so much so with Matt Rule, but definitely they would have benefited last year with Rivera because he doesn't like to play anybody he doesn't know, pretty much. There would be some players, man, that really could show their worth if the player in front of them is gone with COVID. That's going to be fun.
What about if a head coach? What if a head coach gets it and then has to be out for 2 weeks? Do they?
That's what I was about to mention. Someone had mentioned on Twitter that you're going to see a lot of, there's the potential at least that we're going to see a lot of head coaching candidates pop up because they might have to fill in the meantime if a coach gets it or whatever. So like say Kyle Shanahan got it, and then Robert Saleh stepped up as the head coach of the Niners, or Eric Bieniemy, if he had to step up, that's Jeremy Chin, Derek Brown. I still think Gross Matos is going to see a lot of time on that starting defensive line. So it's the young guys have to step up, and I'm hoping that hopefully it's not because of COVID, that it's not because of guys having to pull out because of that, and it's just them stepping up and making plays and proving themselves.
All right, next call. If it's, I bet you this is Joey again. Let's see.
Hey guys. Yeah. Sorry, I haven't called in a few weeks, and that's usually what happens. I call 3 times in one podcast
misses
and
us.
don't call for the next few weeks. But anyway, so I was walking through the main area of Myrtle Beach where all the tourists go, and all the stores that they sell the same shit, and airbrush and the ice cream and the bars and the restaurants and whatnot. We were walking by one, and they had Panthers face masks, and you could get them to write, whatever else you wanted on it. So I got them to write, I got a Carolina Panthers mask, and it says Run CMC. I want to know what if you got a Panthers face mask and they let you write any message you want on it, what would you guys write on it?
I'm not putting keep pounding up there.
Tony's gonna go on it, but
I don't know.
I'm not gonna say it because my condo is kind of small and my parents might be able to hear it, but where it is. Some about being gay for Cam. Someone
mine would say Teddy Bridgewater is not allowed near me.
Mine would be the Panthers really screwed the pooch. That's what mine would be.
Actually, mine would say subscribe to the C3 Panthers podcast.
Ooh, you're gonna use it as a marketing tool. I see.
I would get a picture.
I just think that Tony would have a mask and it would have an arrow pointed to where his mouth would be, and it would say "reserved for Cam Newton."
Cam Newton parking all.
Cam Newton was here in my dreams.
Yeah, Cam Newton was here.
I'd have to get one with a picture of Tepper and Rule on it, and just like facing each other, and in the middle of it, just say liars.
Oh,
that'd probably be mine.
This is funny. Wow. I thought, and nobody
Jugular right there.
People didn't like my tweet, and I thought it was going to be a hit. But you guys know Kelly Story on Twitter. She's a big Panthers fan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And she put up a picture of Christian McCaffrey working out with like one of those medicine balls or whatever, and he was wearing yoga pants, like girl yoga pants, like tight. And she said, "Here's CMC and stretchy pants. You're welcome." And then I responded to it, and I put that picture of Teddy up. I said, "Teddy Bridgewater in stretchy pants. You're welcome."
Yeah.
Well, those weren't stretchy pants. That was just him stretching those pants.
Yeah, exactly. Nobody found it funny but me. I laughed at my own joke pretty hard. All right, let's see. I think that's about it when it comes to Panthers talk for right now. We'll circle back next week. It's the last week of class for me. And then it's vacation week, so we're going to have to try to figure out if we're going to just push it back or make it up on a different day if you guys take the mantle. But until then, you can be a part of the show by calling into the Cat Calls line. The number's 252-228-5098. We'll play your calls each and every Tuesday night. You can follow me on Twitter at @cat_chronicles. Subscribe to the show. We're on YouTube Live. Obviously, that's where you're watching us at this point. But you might be listening later on iTunes, TuneIn, Stitcher, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. Check out the Panthers podcast. Rate, review, tell a friend about the show. We're the longest running Panthers podcast. We're going to continue to go throughout this wild and turbulent season. And guys, now we're going to finish up the podcast with our picks of the week, or our Ice Up picks of the week. This is our homage to Steve Smith, where we tell someone in the world anybody is fair game. 8-year-olds in Oklahoma have been iced up before. To the president, to ourselves, to our wives and our children. The Ice Up pick, let them have it, guys, where you tell someone to ice up, toughen up, get it together. Who's got something to fire away at first while I think of mine?
I can go. I'm pretty sure somebody's going to have the same one I do. But,
hey.
Yeah, I mean, they'll just add on to it. I'm icing up Kanye West.
Oh, God. I feel bad like I'm picking on somebody.
I mean, I'm not trying to pick on the guy, but here's the thing. If you're going to put yourself in a position where you're going to run for president, take it serious, man. Don't name your party the birthday party. Don't shave 2020 into your head. Don't make your first rally at a state that you're not even on the ballot on. And when you do that, go there with the microphone so that way people can hear you. Newsflash.
He had a bulletproof vest on, dude.
Yeah. Well, newsflash to him. Nobody wants to see their president cry when they start talking about things. Like, sorry, it's just it's a sign of being weak is crying about getting emotional in front of a crowd talking about things. Nobody wants to see that. I mentioned the birthday party. Don't be realistic about it. What was the platform he's running on? Is every person who has a baby should get $1 million? What are you talking about, dude? Like, you obviously don't understand how money works. Like, how does it free weed for everybody? Dude, you don't realize how the world works.
It's kind of like you're running for middle school president, and you're like,
yeah, that's what it sounded like. It really did. It was such a joke. I couldn't believe some of the stuff I was hearing about it. I mean, he did his first one in North Charleston, South Carolina. I used to live down there. Why you pick there for your first spot to go to? Like I said, when you're not even on the ballot in that state as a presidential candidate, he's only on the ballot for one state. And that's because he paid $35,000, the $35,000 registration fee to be on that ballot. I mean, dude, it's a joke. It really is. And I really feel bad if people think this is serious and he does get on some more ballots and they spin their vote on him. Like, it's just, it's crazy. So Kanye West, ice up, man. Take it serious. You are making a joke of running for president. You really are. and it brings it down.
It's all a ploy for his album. Or
Probably.
some people have said that he's bipolar and he's like on a bipolar bender.
Yeah, I heard that he was.
Somebody help him. Seriously, you have people. You don't have anybody close enough to you to look at you and be like, "Dude, this is stupid. You look like an idiot."
Well, today, homeboy flew out there to talk to him.
Dave Chappelle. Yeah, I saw that today. But guys, have you realized that Kanye West has no family left? Like, all of his family are the fucking Kardashians, bro. Like these demons that just live to leech and manipulate. I feel like that guy has no one that's like looking out for him that really loves him. I feel. I mean, or else someone talk him down from the perch. I
Right.
think, it clearly doesn't have that anymore.
Right. If you have no family and you don't have any friends that are able to help you out like that, especially when you're that rich, there's something wrong with your personality. You're doing something to keep people away. There's no way you're that rich and popular and you don't have somebody that's going to be there to advise you, a friend, even somebody you're paying to do it. There's no way unless you're just a complete asshole or moron or combination of both.
Yeah.
All right. What else you guys got?
CK, you got something there?
No, man. I'm just.
Damn.
I'm
you got nothing in your. You don't got somebody that you talk to collecting their life debt.
What's that?
Nothing. Oh, no.
You have to start doing what I do. Is like throughout the week, if I find stupid shit, I have an ice up folder that I save it to.
I do stuff
Twitter,
like that too. You got to.
Like when you're on Twitter, if you find something dumb, you just gotta save it and refer back to it on Tuesday nights. I guess I'll go first, man. I'm gonna ice up paganism because I don't know if you guys heard this or saw about this. The moon was trending on Twitter either yesterday or the day before, and this account by the name of Jupiter explained it. And this is verbatim what the tweet says. Basically, in the past few days, a group of fresh baby witches decided to band together and hex the Fae. I then found out that the Fae are like Celtic fairies and shit like that.
Okay.
And they hexed the moon. And they did. And now they're planning on hexing the sun too. So essentially what they're saying is that this coronavirus pandemic is the moon and the sun getting back at witches for cursing the moon and the sun. And dude, there is an entire thread about it. And I read the entire thing and I realized at the end of it, I lost 5 IQ points, bro. I am so much dumber now because of this. And it was like a legitimate trending thing on Twitter. And then you realize that there's a huge part of TikTok that's dedicated to witches and paganism and stuff. And man, look, believe what you want to believe, but sometimes y'all just take this shit too far, man. So to all the baby witches to all the baby witches that are casting hexes on the moon and shit, I guess ice up, son.
Yeah.
Yeah, how's that for my weird little ice up?
Yeah, that is a weird ice up. I might ice up my wife tonight. And yeah, I know it's not even that bad, but I've noticed that this, and I've not noticed this, I've known this, but she's so remarkably good at spending money. I mean, so good at it. It's like just easy. It just makes it, and even it's like this. It's like and it's on stuff we need too, but it's like, I don't want to do anything. I don't want to do my work. I mean, she just works hard, does all this, but boy, she can spend a damn $1. You go to the store and all of a sudden it's like, damn, we just bought $70 worth of vitamins. So I didn't have a good ice up. I'm tired of icing up COVID. I was going to ice up the Washington Post, but I felt like you did it last week.
No, I didn't. I was thinking about it because I remember I did have one, but I thought I did it last week, but that was Friday that we talked about it on the group chat. And
the story about the Redskins?
Yeah.
Can we all just take a minute to collectively say how bullshit that was?
Yeah.
Like,
Let me do it. Let me ice
yeah, do it, man. Jump on it.
Yeah. So I sent out after they released it. So for an entire week, I'm telling you, you guys were there. You guys were on Twitter. You were on social media. All of these reporters, all of these insiders who supposedly knew what was going to happen with this report that the Washington Post was about to put out, that was going to go from coaches all the way up to Dan Snyder, made you believe that they were pimping out cheerleaders, that they were doing all of these just ridiculous things. And it was just basically just two executives in the back office had some sexual harassment claims against them.
Oh, and the radio guy, he told a girl that her ass was as nice as a wagon, or had a she had an ass like a covered wagon or something like that.
Oh my god! But I mean, even so, I mean, like, I'm not gonna sit here and say that women's feelings in this situation aren't valid, because I think that if they feel offended, then that's valid. Like, no matter what, if somebody's offended, if they are truly offended in the way that they should be offended, then that's a valid feeling to have. So I'm not going to sit here and say that that's not something that should be put in front of people. But do you know how many sexual harassment claims Wells Fargo goes through, that any of these big corporations go through, Verizon, any of them? But do you think, hey, they're going to make front page news on this, and it's going to be built up in a way that makes them believe, the public believe, that there is going to be just a bombshell? Like, this is the equivalent of somebody saying that where I work, that our CEO is just banging every single female intern that ever comes into the office, while also handing that woman off to his best friends and saying, pay me for intercourse with this woman, but then finding out later that I just looked at a girl's butt the wrong way, on the being just a footnote in this whole. They built this thing up so much that you were really thinking that, oh my gosh, the Redskins are about to collapse, bro.
Well, you thought it was going to be on the scale of what happened with the Panthers.
You felt like it was about to be even worse than that. Like, you thought like Dan Snyder was about to be outed as being just a part of this human trafficking situation with Jeffrey Epstein. I mean, there were rumors going around like crazy. And what's funny about it is it was all being substantiated by other reporters that said we knew what was going on there the entire time. Like, I'm like, what?
I think my ISEP pick goes to Jason LaCanfora, which I'm less and less interested in his work now. Every time I hear, he's kind of become a sensation.
Terrible.
Yeah.
He's always been terrible.
Maybe Rich Kendall will go on to the Cripple Connection and talk shit there in that chat room.
Yeah, Rich, I'm your personal Jesus, bro. He's saying I look like a female Jesus and I need to do some push-ups. Yeah. Maybe I do some push-ups on your wife later, please. Anyway. But no, the last note on that Dan Snyder thing, like, dude, it wasn't even as bad as Jerry Richardson. Like, they were blowing it up to believe like this was going to be some shit that would cause Dan Snyder to have to sell the football team. And Dan Snyder was never directly implicated in anything other than, he knew about it. He knew it was going on and didn't do anything. And I think the bigger story is that those women, there are probably 10 different women on every football team that have stories about shit like that happening in the front office. And yes, it's terrible, and none of those women should ever have to go through that. But the fact of the matter is, they built this up like it was supposed to be some huge deal, and then put it behind a paywall, dude. Fucking Washington Post and Jeff Bezos, dude, built this shit up to be like, oh, this is going to be the end of Dan Snyder. And then not only was it
some people say Jeff Bezos wants a football team.
Dude, that's the rumors. But it was so misleading, dude. Just so dumb.
Yeah, I don't, and I think the problem is this: is that you want to be cautious in saying it's not a big deal, because obviously it is a big deal. You know, it's not appropriate for a workplace for people to be made feel uncomfortable by superiors, and it's particularly easy for that to happen to women, right? To be sexualized in different things. Like Sarah says, not surprised to hear it in the sports world. Yeah, is that you also got? This is not the most refined group of people, you would think, but the way it was drummed up, you were expecting it to be, and and what it does is it kind of gets us that where we should be concerned, but we just like,
you know what it did?
That's it. It made it less of a, it made us less sympathetic to it.
Yeah, they ruined it. Like they made this to where, like, to put it into perspective, they had to have another reporter for the Washington Post report about how they reported that, and that they did a good job reporting it, and it was just other people who had nothing to do with the process that made it look like it was. If nobody had come in and said, there's a story coming, this is going to be huge, you guys, all of these reporters, if that hadn't happened, we might have been like, dang, get those guys fired. All right.
Yeah.
But like,
there was a glass. The most interesting part of the report to me was the glass floor part. Did you hear that part? Where there was a hallway that had a glass floor, and people would like look up at people's skirts at it.
Shit's crazy, bro. And they said that they all knew that. They wouldn't even care. Like they would all get into a better position to make sure that they had the right angle to look up chicks' skirts.
Let me drop this bombshell on you too. This was another really audacious claim made in this, is that these women were encouraged to dress attractively, sensually, to close business deals. Like, i.e., check out, have you ever met anybody in the pharmaceutical sales? Why do you think women destroy it there? And it's not like they're out there pimping themselves out. I'm just saying this is that
I'm sure there's somebody out there doing that, but
right. So it did. It was just kind of, I don't know. It was, and it's, what's also strange too is that how have the Redskins, ironically or coincidentally or strangely, have come out of two major scandals where they don't even seem that big of a deal, right? Like 2 years ago, I felt like we were more upset about the Redskins name than we are today. It's like they almost have been able to do the name change without as much PR damage as usual, as you thought it would be, because of COVID, because of the black. Like it's kind of just been, submerged in all this other news in a way. And so is this other thing. It's like the Redskins actually have taken the least beating they've ever taken. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Ice up.
I'm just gonna continue to call them the Washington Rachel Slurs.
Yeah. All right, that's the C3 Panthers podcast. Where can they check out your podcast, Cody? Why don't you tell us about your podcast and what you guys do?
Yeah, man. Me and my partner Jeffrey do a video game show called the Cripple Connection Podcast. Yes, that's why my shoulders are so tiny, Rich. It's not because I'm not doing my own enough push-ups, asshole. Thanks. I needed you to tell me that, right? But no, we talk about video games, and this Friday we're gonna do a full review of Ghost of Tsushima. That's on my own personal YouTube channel, Cody Lashley. So like and subscribe, hit the notification bell. Eventually, it'll have a YouTube channel of its own, but for right now, it's there. And we've moved to a monthly schedule, but I'm still the writer for DraftTech.com and the Carolina Panthers, writing first and second round comments for them, and that will that's every month. And you can find me on Twitter at Cody Lack, CodyLac.
So my wife's friends, one time her husband was telling me this story, and they were watching a movie and this movie came up, and it was someone that was deaf and they couldn't speak clearly, right? And that kind of inaudible type of, and the wife made fun of it. So she goes, she said, I know it's wrong, I can't help it. It just, I always laugh about, it's just always funny to me. I laugh. And then the husband said we never hung out with that couple anymore. And we're like, wow, what happened? And like, her mom was deaf. Like, you stupid dick. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, they were like, well, we're never hanging out with you again. All right, Greg, what you got for us? You're on the Man of Many podcast. He even takes a nap to get ready for this podcast.
Yeah, I have to. Yeah, man, you can find me at the Bat Daddy 52. That's my personal handle. And then I am kind of a podcast whore. I'm just about everywhere. I got the Super Civil Servants podcast live on Fridays at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we do basically what we do here on the Panthers or C3 podcast as far as broadcasting goes. Chat room, come check us out. We talk about all kinds of stuff there. I know this Friday we're talking about Temple of Doom, which is really cool. It's always fun to go back and check out those old movies. Doom Patrol, Stargirl, reviewing Umbrella Academy Season 1, getting ready for Season 2 to come out. Just all kinds of really fun stuff, any kind of news going on. And then part of the Geek Ultimate Alliance Network, which drops shows Monday through Friday. I'm on 2 of those shows. On Tuesdays, DC Alliance Podcast, and Friday, Superhero Discussions, which is an animated television show. This is
exhausting, Greg. I'm tired hearing it, and you do all these podcasts.
Dude, I spiel all these podcasts off at the end of every show, too, which is even crazier. And then I just started a new show with another guy it's only a monthly show. It's the Batman You Complete Me first episode dropped yesterday. If you like Batman and you're a Batman fan, it's a show solely dedicated to talking about how much we love Batman. So really, really fun show. But you can find that just about anywhere you can find a podcast. You can find me somewhere.
Guys,
hey, Greg, we should start a podcast together.
Yeah, let's do it.
I actually think us three, I think CK, Cody, and I should do a podcast where we talk about all your podcasting adventures, where we follow you.
We should just review we should start a podcast just reviewing all of Greg's podcasts.
It's the Truman Show. It would be our Truman Show.
We would have more content to talk about on that show than we do this show.
Oh my God.
Yeah, we would. All right, CK, gaming away. What you got?
All right, so here's what I wanted to do. I'm going to send this to you here, if you don't mind. And can you play this for the guys on the to see what I do?
Ooh, where are you sending it?
For the Twitter. It's my it's going to be my Facebook profile. It's going to be a video from there. I uploaded. It's like a 19-second little video.
Yes, I can. Hold on, let me get my screen grab ready.
Yeah, I can't see it on Facebook. Tony's going to show it to us.
Yeah, that's why I figured it'd be better to do it this way.
All right.
I would share it, but I don't think the sound would
said
go
it's
through.
Twitter?
No, I sent it to Twitter, and it's the link.
Okay, I got you. Let me see if I can do
Yo, the camo on that. I already looked at it. The camo on that fucking gun is crazy looking.
Oh, mine.
Let's see. Here we go. All right. Now, make sure the audio's up. Hit the play.
Tortillas on a corner.
Stop, you're gonna turn me on, dude.
If I haven't already turned you on, I'm not doing my job.
That is fucking hilarious, dude. Can we be friends?
He goes, can we be friends?
Yeah, one more time so we can hear the beginning.
He sold tortillas on a corner.
Stop, you're gonna turn me on, dude.
If I haven't already turned you on, I'm not doing my job.
All right. Send us out of here with that sultry voice.
In a world where we are in a news drought for the Carolina Panthers, only 4 men know how to talk for an hour and 37 minutes about nothing. We have found a way to entertain you, and you have listened. Hopefully you'll return next week when we start talking about Teddy Bridgewater and his diet, because that is the only thing that we'll be able to talk about.
You need to eat a lot of pineapple, Teddy. Eat pineapple, they say.
Thank you for tuning in.